Hello everyone, VanguardOfValor here, and welcome back to Sunless Sea. We set sail once again from the Isle of Codex, a land of mute exiles. Exiles, perhaps, for giving answers to the questions in the town of Wither. The Sunless Sea is not a kind mistress. As we set forth once again, what more may we find? Well, it looks like we may have come across Frostfound itself, a great, frozen castle, a fortress sieged by questions, answers, and riddles. We've discovered Frostfound itself, but until we find the port, it'll be difficult for us to land, as we cannot simply put aground anywhere we like. We've discovered Teneb and the Sycamore Arch, various landmarks of this frozen castle. Let us make our way over to the steps, where we may find something new. Stoddard's Haven, a landing at the base of the frozen castle. What do we have here, then? Let us make port. Frostfound, towers and ramps and galleries and stairs of ice, raised and spun like an architect's honey dream. No spider ever wove so complex a web. The towers are utterly pristine, untouched by human life, but a pitiable encampment squats by the dock. Well, here we could engage the tireless mechanic. However, we have no money, so unfortunately we cannot. The tireless mechanic is a wonderful crewman, as he increases your fuel efficiency, but we won't be able to hire him until we can actually acquire some more funds. As it stands, we have a couple things we can do here, however. First, we're going to create our port report to decide what the squatters are up to. Not all are Arami or Withern. There's the odd researcher, and the occasional deranged ice sculptor. Now and then, a very cold, very sad, rubbery man. But for the most part, an atmosphere of friendly rivalry reigns. Well then, let us see what the sly navigator wants. He climbs the steps, panting eagerly. "This is the Z, you see," he calls back. "The Z risen to become land. Ice is the soul of the Z. In ice we find the Z at her most exemplary." And he's off again. We leave him to examine the tower, staring up at the battlements, his breath dragon huffing. Where is he? Only a few minutes later, we glance back, and the navigator is gone. We climb the steps to examine the spot where we saw him last. His coat lies in the snow. His footprints end at the tower wall. We poke through his coat and find a brass telescope from the connate, a much annotated chart, tobacco, an alarming quantity of lice. But the navigator is gone. We never see him again. And our officer, just like that, has disappeared. However, we've gathered a revelatory chart, and an outlandish artifact. These are all useful artifacts. We can use them for a variety of things, but for the time being, we're simply going to continue. We can take tea with the squatters at the dock and see what they have to tell us, which might be interesting, so let's do just that. Some of them wear the robes of the Arimi riddle fishers. Some look like Wittern folk, but even more ragged. But they do seem a little more practical than either of those people. A surprisingly warm welcome. "We're keeping the steps for the game of truths," a helpful riddle fisher explains as she fills your cup for the third time. "Every year, the people of Irem and Wither meet here for contests," she finishes vaguely. "The difference between a question and a riddle. One day, someone may prove themselves enough to enter the castle." We spend a pleasant few hours while the tea is supplemented with Arami liquors, pale Withern beer, and something the riddle fishers describes blandly as snake cake. They offer us fuel and supplies before we leave. "We keep enough to spare," the riddle fisher grins. "From time to time, a captain gets lost and comes up here, and we always feel bad for them." We've gained another fuel, we've lost all of our terror, and we've gained a supply, but that's all for now. Alright, well, unfortunately we can't hire the tireless mechanic for now, but we can move on. Back into the sea we go. Let's check our map for a moment. At the moment, we've discovered a number of things, but the darkness is vast, and the sea is largely unknown. Let's make our way back towards known waters. We have a good deal of fuel left, so we can afford to explore for a while, but the more places that we can discover in our first trip, the better our luck will be, I'm sure. So let us head down to the southern sea and see what awaits us over here. We've discovered Bornvatus Pillar, which is a lovely thing. Here we find stalagmites loom in the distance like the cranes of Wolfstack docks, but vaster, vaster. The corsair's forest. Our lookouts are watchful. We sail through the sea, finding various unusual markings. Strange pillars, lighthouses. What more could lurk in the corsair's forest? Pirates, perhaps. But we'll need to explore the sea to find out. Let's send our Zebat and see if he has any information for us. Guider's Morn is somewhere in the distance to the southeast. Well, what do you know? We can mark it on our map and see where it is. Ah, it is indeed some distance to the southeast. For now, we're going to go a little bit further east and see if there's anything else lying awaiting us in this direction. Who knows what might be out here if we take the chance to look? And as everyone knows, the further from home we get, the more foreign and hostile the seas become. It looks like, for the moment, however, there's not too much awaiting us out in this direction. Send out our Zebat to search. A point of light over here is unusual. Guider's Morn is still what is indicated to us, however. Aha! A baked breeze rises, the improbable scent of stone out of some distant desert. We are close to the Salt Lions. And a sailor has grown fretful and disobedient, reluctant to go on deck, even in port.
There's a white Zebat watching me up there. Salt's messenger. Salt's got his eyes on me. I'll never see home again.
Well, that's not good. We could try and shoot the Zebat, but that doesn't seem like a good idea to me. Salt is one of the nameless gods that sailors fear. This sailor is a conscientious man. We'll send him to the sick bay on the pretext of a fever. The sailor is grateful, though our ship's doctor rolls a skeptical eye. When he next goes up on deck, the railings are clear of Zebats, white or black, and he sets at work with a will. Very nice. We've learned of the gods of the sea. Allow us to continue. Occasionally, these random events will give us troubles as we sail the seas. The Salt Lions are some distance to the east. In fact, they're quite close, so we will head there and then head back towards what we've discovered before. We should have enough fuel to make the return trip without too much danger. But the sea is treacherous. Treacherous, dark, and vast. And here it is, the Salt Lions. Our approach is not for nothing. We've discovered Zealport and the Salt Lions. Let us take a look at port and see what they may have for us here. There is vast sorrow in their empty eyes. Two basalt beasts, cathedral-sized. They frown eternally at each other across the black waves. The north one carries an encampment. Creeping human figures eat away at its features like rot, picking. There's a supply dock below. We can visit the Unmakers, we can carry Sphinx Stone to London, and we can engage with Salt's rights. That sounds interesting to me. Interesting indeed. However, first we will compile a port report. Time, basalt, dissolution. We record the activities of the Unmakers, such as they are. We write of stone and silence. The face of the northern Sphinx is all but gone. Lost faces are sacred to Salt, they say. We are drawn there. To what end? Salt's voice is distant, but clear. We can do this because we have a variety of options available to us. Time for us to see what Salt's rights have to say. We dive from the Sphinx's face, down a clean arc into the Z's chilly darkness. We float there in the quiet until our lungs are bursting, until light blooms behind our eyes. We rise gasping to the prickle of false stars, the shocked faces of our crew. We've brought something with us. Salt no longer pays us attention, but we come to the surface with an extraordinary implication in our minds. We've also gained 7 terror as a result of our horrifying experiment. And that is all that awaits us at the Salt Lions for now. So we set off, once again, into the Sea. At the moment, we've gone quite a ways to the east. It would be prudent for us to return in this direction, perhaps to examine Guider's Morn and see what else awaits us in this side, so that's precisely what we'll do. The Salt Lions have been beneficial to us, and it is time for us to make our way back towards the London we know so well. We have a good amount of fuel. We have a good amount of supplies. It's unlikely we will find ourselves stranded so early in our adventure. We have discovered an abyss here, however. Let us take a look and see what it's called. That is Wilbert's Abyss. Who knows what horrors lurk in the center. We will stick to the safer edges. But yet, combat has begun with something. Something nearby wants us dead. Aha, it's a pirate frigate. They've taken aim at us. They have a good amount of hull. It may be difficult for us to fight them successfully at the time. But hopefully, we will be the more precise targets, and we'll be able to defeat them before they can do too much damage to us. We are significantly more damaging, but it is difficult to outmaneuver them. Thankfully, that was a lucky miss on our part. And they have decided to turn tail and try to run instead. You foolish pirates. That will not serve you well at all. We will stick on your tail so you have no opportunity to attack us, and take you out from behind. You thought you would be safe to flee, but instead you have simply made yourselves the easiest of targets. Goodbye, sirs. Our first pirates have been taken down. We can loot and scuttle the vessel. In doing so, we find a fuel, 2 supplies, and a cache of curiosities. It's a box full of mystery. Let's see what's inside this mysterious barrel. Inside, we find prisoner's honey, wrung by the lamplighter bee from the exile's rose.
I wonder who made up all these names, remarks able seaman Carget. Someone who has read a sight too many books, I'm thinking.
But now we have a firkin of prisoner's honey. We can use this for a variety of things in trade or to sell, but for now, that'll do. Let's send our Z-Bat out to search the waves, and give the all clear. Guider's Morn is again some distance to the west. Perfect. Let's head over there and see what we can find. And there it is. We've discovered Guider's Morn. Yet another island, out deep in the sea. Large turrets, long bridges. Let's see what this place has in store for us. And we dock. The Morn is a stalagmite, vast as a crag, and its foot has no safe harbors. The corsair's citadel nestles halfway up. An intricate system of winches take the strain, and our ship rises slowly from the sea. Her hull creaks in protest. Grizzled sailors groan and cling to stanchions. Higher, higher. Now the undersea shimmers like glass below. Children clambering in crevices cheer and wave alarmingly. The winch motor slows, and we hang in a cradle next to a red-bowed pirate cutter. Here we are, in a pirate stronghold. Lucky they're so willing to be friends. We can try to gather intelligence, so that we can create a port-a-port of Guider's Morn, but this is a pirate base, and it may not go so well for us. It may not go so well for us at all. Let's explore the Morn and see what happens. There's a surprising quantity of actual landscape on the Morn. It's vertical, admittedly, but once we find the beast paths and urchin roads, we can transverse it as we would a rocky moor, with an additional throatful of lurching terror. Our future. From up here, our future looks glorious, if not exactly bright. Our past as a poet. The years before we came to Z, days of honey and roses in Hollow Street, long walks in Tyrant's Gardens with very special friends. We can give a prayer to the god of storm, or the god called stone, or we can ponder all the wide black sea. We are going to ponder our past as a poet. New vistas. We found inspiration and more. If our old companions could see us at the helm of a ship, it's better pay than writing, and that's the least of it. We've gained 5 more pages, which means that our knowledge has increased, but that's all for now. And now we take a risk, a high-risk challenge. We attempt to gather intelligence. Our crew may die for our misdeeds here, but let us see what happens. Yes, no luck there, unfortunately. We and one of our more villainous-looking sailors join in a dice game. Villainous-looking, but we know for a fact that she tithes to charity and has a delightful singing voice. The topic turns promisingly to pillage and ambush, but our sailor is a little too forward with her questions. There is a scuffle and a stabbing. We escape, but she does not. We've gained 5 terror and lost a crew. We failed our challenge, but we did gain a port report, at the very least. Well, that's not so good now, is it? Let us set sail again and see if maybe we can find a more friendly place to visit. Not everywhere works out so well for us. We can replace lost crew, but the more crew we can keep, the better for us. Send out our Z-Bat, see if it has anything to tell us. It's unlikely it'll find an island so close to here, but Abbey Rock is some distance to the southeast, so we will head in that direction and see what we can find. Let's illuminate Eakin Rock here so that we know where it is on our maps. And let's take a look here. Alright, looks like we're heading very slightly to the southeast to Abbey Rock. Let us head in that direction and see what the sea has in store for us. Hopefully some wonderful stories await us, but we will head to the Abbey Rock, discover the sisterhood, and see what they have in store. Alright. What goes on in Abbey Rock? Abbey Rock, a black spit of an island, far from anywhere anyone would want to go. And that's how the sisterhood likes it. Here stands their fortress convent. There are bear traps that look friendlier than this. We can trade supplies with them for a bad price. We can compile a port report, which we will certainly do. As always, nothing is happening. The sisters watch us. We feel their eyes. The sea crashes on the rocks and withdraws. The fortress stands stolid as the last year of a century. The greatest peril we risk here is a certain purpleness of prose. But there we have it, a port report for Abbey Rock. We have news to bring, rumors, news from London. They might be interested, and perhaps would let us in. Let's see what happens. The muscular prioress, the abbess's lieutenant, comes to the door to listen. She nods and makes notes. She pays particular attention to news of marsh beast predations and the traffic of the rooftops. In return, she offers a rather perfunctory blessing, but the blessing reassures our crew, only slightly. We've lost 2 terror, but have lost our recent news. Let us search the surroundings. No, this is an important thing here. Beginner's luck allows us to acquire something of value but once. Shall we do it here? Why not? Let us search the surroundings and see what our beginner's luck will bring us. A map, a mask, and the face beneath. Someone died here, far from home, long enough ago that their flesh is gone. A visager, by the look of their frog mask. The mask will be worth a bit. The skull would look good on the mantelpiece. And what's this map? We've gained another revelatory chart. That could be valuable. Another lamentable relic. And another outlandish artifact. And our beginner's luck is spent. Ah, well. Is there anything else we want to do here? Let's watch the convent and see what happens. Like huge deadly herons, the sisters stalk along the very tops of the walls. We watch through a spyglass as they leap and whirl, slashing at each other with a variety of frightening weapons.
God, one of them just turned a somersault.
We've gained 5 fragments of knowledge, and learned that the sisterhood is somewhat more military than we might have originally thought. Let us leave Abbey Rock. This is no place. No place for us at all. Send out our Z-Bat to see if the nearby waters hold anything of interest to us. Station 3 is some distance to the west. Well, we will certainly head there as well in our route back to the homeland. We are running low on fuel, though we have a decent supply for now, so we may be able to visit a few more installations before we are forced to return home yet again. A Gilly-Fleur swims through the water down this way. Hopefully, we can find ourselves in good company. Well, what do you know? That was quick. Station 3 is already in reach. Many things are quite close together this time through the undersea. We'll see what lies out in the wastes. There may be vast areas with nothing at all. Well, hello there, Station 3. We may infer a Station 1 and a Station 2. We may conjecture a Station 4. Here, however, machinery hums behind high steel walls. Up the hill there are visible outlines of warehouses and a building with a spire, but the lamps are low where they burn at all, and our ship the only one in harbor. We could take a look at the shore. Probably a good idea. Let's take a look. A church or something else? We stand in the high point of our ship and look to shore. There's a steepled building on the horizon, by far the largest thing in sight. No cross marks the top of it, nor any other symbol we recognize. We could try the gate, but it looks to be locked. A sign beside it reads deliveries. In order to get in, we'll need a sooth and copper long box. However, for the time being, that doesn't seem possible. We set sail yet again, with nothing else to do here. Z-Bat, do you have more to discover for us? So close to home. Shepherd's Isles, some distance to the southeast. We'll swing close to Wolf's Rift, and then take a look at these Shepherd Isles. Then I think we'll make our return trip to Fallen London, and see what we can now acquire with our ill-gotten gains. Yes, indeed. Hello, Auroral Megalops. We've been attacked by a golden crab. Not so much attacked as it has come into our attention, but we should be able to take it out. Load that shot and take it down. Perfect. It is easily defeated before it can do much else. We investigate the corpse and we decide. With a forlorn wailing cry, the Megalops turns on its back, legs neatly folded. As bluish blood gouts from its wounds, its golden glow begins to dim. We will butcher it for supplies. Pale and salty meat. The crew will feast. That glowing flesh is unstable. It crisps and withers as the glow fades, so we have to eat it while it's fresh. And we've lost all of our current hunger. However, we are sailing directly through Wolf's Rift. Let's come back and take a look at these isles, and then we will see what else lies in store for us. We've discovered Flitterstone Isle. And a Zailor is praying. This sign indicates that something is awaiting us in port, and things like a Zailor is praying are the events that trigger said things. We've discovered Thornwell Croft and Fieldhaven. More of the Shepherd Isles. Let's make our way down to the port and see what awaits us in this mysterious land before we head back to our home. What do you have to say, Z-Bat? Bonny Reefs is a long way to the south. Well, we'll mark that on our map as well. Let's dock here and see what they have to say in the Shepherd Isles. Sheep, lichen, standing stones. Of course, the bearded watchman tells us,
there are no actual shepherds on the Shepherd Isles. Sheep are mostly illegal here. No, indeed, it's just the name of the gentleman that found the islands.
Greybeards, sitting in the village square, nod solemnly.
No sheep, one says, but plenty of tales. Ask us anything.
We could ask a tale of the standing stones, a tales of the three graves, or tales of Thornwell Croft, the island that is not bridged. We can compile a port report, indeed.
Oh, yes, yes. There's been goings-on. In the bleak light of the false stars, Surface roiling like a porridge pot, up with a roar of steam and a flash of fire. 3 widows swimming, tentacles, and then we saw His Highness.
There's rather a lot of material. Well, let's talk of the 3 graves. Who sleeps beneath the turf over on that island to the northwest? Hunters at Resk.
The Chelonit, right? They're hunters. They killed a turtle the size of London and built their city in its shell. A ship from the Chelonit came by, hunting the midnight whale. 3 of them had died cowards, so their bodies couldn't go into the Zee. They paid us for the land in whale ivory. I still got a piece, but I keeps it safe.
We've got a memory of distant shores and a Zee story, which may mean that we have everything we need now to trade in to learn more about our father's bones. Good for us. Let us leave the Shepherd's Isles here and continue onwards. How far to the south is this reef? It's quite a ways away, so we may leave it for another adventure, as our fuel supplies are beginning to get low. With only 3 fuel left in stock, it may be prudent to return home before we run out entirely. Let's make sail back for the gates of London, where we may find more wondrous things to accommodate us. As it stands, we are fairly close, so it shouldn't be too difficult for us to make our way back there. If we decide that we're running low on fuel, however, we can turn off our lights. With the lights turned off, we burn through fuel more slowly, but our terror increases more quickly. For the time being, we'll keep the lights on, so as to keep our sailors as calm as can be. And we will continue to sail. Let's send our Z-Bat out again and see if it can find us anything new. Mutton Island is some distance to the west. Well, we can totally go and check out the Mutton Island. I'm sure nothing terrible will happen to us en route. And there it is. Mutton Island. Quaker's Haven has also been discovered, the name of the port here, hidden in the fog. Fog makes us less accurate, but we should be able to make it to this quiet haven without too much difficulty. And there we have it. Quaker's Haven. Once this simple fishing village was part of the London suburbs, before London fell and the waters rushed in. Smoke spirals from cottage chimneys. A lonely hill rises behind town. We can take a drink at the public house on the island, but we have no echoes at all, so we can't do that. We could pick up a wretched Mog, a cat, to be our mascot, but I don't think we shall. We could explore the shore and chat with the fishermen, but at the moment what we will do is we'll visit the hilltop above town. There's not much wind on the Untersee, but Mutton Island suffers eerie gusts and buffets from an inexplicably local fragment of weather, and the air on the hilltop sometimes carries interesting scents. We have a 100% chance for success in this challenge because of our high pages score at 55, so we can do this with not a problem at all. Toasting the wind. We stand on the cliff top, looking over the little village. Smoke from the chimney drifts straight upwards. As we watch, the smoke tilts. The sudden wind thins it to a pencil smudge, then nothing. The wind screams unexpectedly like a god cut in half. What a noise! It must be the caves around the island channeling the air. At least, that's the most comforting explanation. Below us, the locals each take nips from a shared flask and make a toast towards the mainland. The wind is a southerly. We've gained 8 fragments. We've succeeded in a pages challenge, but we've gained 2 terror. What else can we do here? Well, it looks like there's not a whole lot else. We'd need to have at least 1 echo to be able to make a port report of this city, and sadly we don't have one. However, we could acquire one. It would not be an efficient use of our money, but it would allow us to make 1 more port report this pass. Perhaps we'll come back here and make a proper port report in the future. For now, this is it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor, setting sail upon the Sunless Sea. If you've enjoyed today's episode, where we explore the waters around London, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Either way, I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Until then, bye-bye.